Let's figure out the outliers in your data set. First, we can already take a look, and here's all the things we're going to be solving for. So first thing we want to do is get our first and third quartiles. And to do that, let's click on the Insert Function button. Then we'll look up quartile and click Go. And here's quartile. We'll select it and click OK. Now we need to give it our array, and we'll highlight this first column. And we'll say we're looking for the first quartile. And this will give you all the information here on what each number value means. So first, we're looking for the first quartile, and we'll click OK. So now it's analyzing all this data and spitting out our result. Now we'll solve for the third quartile, and we'll do the same thing. Click on Insert Function and double-click quartile. Select our array, and under the quartile, we'll say 3 for the third, and click OK. Now we need to solve for the IQR, or interquartile range, and we'll say equals D3 minus D2, and press enter. Now we have our IQR, and so now we'll need to solve for the upper bound, and for that we'll say equals the third quartile plus, open parenthesis, 1.5 times the IQR, close parenthesis, and we'll press enter. And that is our upper bound. And now let's calculate for the lower bound and say equals first quartile minus, open parenthesis, 1.5 times the IQR, and close parenthesis, and we'll press enter. And that's our lower bound. Now we have the range. Anything outside of this range is going to be an outlier. So let's go ahead and run a formula that's going to compare this number to these numbers. And we'll go equals, or, open parenthesis, then we'll give it some logical comparisons. We'll say A2 greater than 152, or our upper bound, comma, A2 lesser than our lower bound, close parenthesis. Press enter. So this is saying false. This is not an outlier. Now to run the rest of these in a quicker fashion, let's go ahead and add some dollar signs to these, to the D6 and D7 parts of the formula. We'll put a dollar sign before the D, another dollar sign before the 6, and then do the same thing for D7. And now, when we click and drag, it'll always maintain that position, whereas the A2 will be relative to where we're dragging. So we'll press enter. And now let's click back on our formula, and we'll click and drag this little handle on the bottom right to continue filling down this formula, and release. So now we'll see all these false because they're all within that range that we gave it, except for these last two big ones. It's giving us a true because they're greater than our upper bound, therefore it's an outlier. And that's how you calculate for outliers. And there's a bigger formula that can help you calculate that you might want to look at inside the article itself. It's going to give you a really long calculation that you can apply to your entire data set. So take a glance at that. But this is maybe an easier way to break down how to calculate for outliers.